Hey guys, my name is Haley and today I'm going to be filming, I think there's a tag called the end of the year TBR. I am not doing the tag, I'm basically just doing a December TBR, but it's also the end of the year. And these are really the only things I plan on reading for the rest of the year, so we're just going to go through those. A lot of them are going to be rereads because I'm gearing up for all of my like end of the year booktube videos, so like best books of the year, best nonfiction, least favorite, all of those. And I'm going to put them up in January, so because December is still a valid reading month, as me and Kate yell about all the time when it comes to booktube. But yeah, we're just going to talk about the things that I plan on reading in the next 3 weeks. We're a little bit of the ways into December. I don't know how this year is almost over, but that's a whole nother discussion. So rereads wise, I have The Warehouse by Rob Hart. I read this very, very early on in the year and it stayed my favorite for a very long time. But because I've read so many good books this year that I'm actually not sure what my like number one favorite is, and obviously there's going to be a bit of a tie in like the favorites. My like top three are basically all a favorite, so yeah, we're gonna reread this. I compared it a lot to The Circle when I read it earlier this year, so also I read this before the pandemic, I think, so that's weird to think about. That me and Kate were talking about how January and February almost feel nostalgic for this year because the rest of the year was so insane. Next up is the one that is in my brain the closest to being in the running for my favorite against The Warehouse, and that is The Flat Share. I plan to read and annotate this, which is why I finally bought it in like hardcover. This, as I said in the wrap up in which I read it, I honestly could not even tell you when that was because this year is a blur. But this is the most, and I don't use this term lightly because I honestly don't feel this way with a lot of books. This is the most seen I have ever felt in a book in my entire life. Like, this depicted a very emotionally abusive relationship, and I have never seen a past relationship of mine depicted in a way that I'm like, yes, this is how I want to explain this to people. So, because this girl's ex is crazy and it uses a lot of gaslighting, and this is the best representation of that. So this is just like a very me book, like a very personal to me book. Do I think it's the best written book of all time and like the most interesting story? No. But is this the most accurate depiction of this specific thing that I lived through? Yes. So I'm gonna reread this and annotate it because I need to. Next up, I would like to reread Middle Game, mainly because I read this in one day while I was like cleaning my room or something. It might have been when I was putting out my bookshelves, I don't remember. But I read this in one day, just blasted through the audiobook. The audiobook is fantastic, by the way, just saying, but I bought it in physical format and I want to reread it because this turned into a sci-fi, which I was not expecting. I, for some reason, went in thinking it was fantasy. And the twist, once you realize what's going on in this, is so good, and I just want to reread it and like get all of the information back in my brain when I'm not binging it, like as fast as humanly possible. And then last for the rereads, I was gonna read the second book, which is Shadow of Night, because I own the whole trilogy. But honestly, I read this in January, February, maybe early February. I have no idea. I read this quite a while before the pandemic even like started, and I loved it. I remember reading it so fast, and it was like one of the first books that I like binged this year, and it got me back into a reading mood because I wasn't really in January because I was doing a lot of hanging out with people then, so reading was not the top priority, and this definitely like threw me back into reading constantly. So I do want to reread this. I do remember really, really loving this world, so I'm excited to reread it. It's really long though, so we'll see if that actually happens before the end of the year. I then have 3 more Doctor Who things that I want to get to before the end of the year. I'm currently reading The Art of Destruction, which is the next book in the Rose portion of the books that I own physically. So we have this one. And then I also want to read The Price of Paradise. So I will wrap up Rose's run of the Doctor Who books, which will be really sad. But then I also have her set of audiobooks with The Endless Night, The Flood, Ghost Machines, and The Last Party on Earth, and this is just chronicling her in the alternate dimension called the Dimension Canon, and I'm so excited to listen to this. Like, you have no idea. I'm like almost putting it off because I know it's going to be great. And then I have 3 other random things that I just have out or own. the first of those being Strike. This is the sequel to the book Hit, which I reread earlier this year because it used to be a favorite of mine and I never finished the duology. This is the second book that I never read, so I do hope to finish this before the end of the year. It's kind of chunky, so we'll see, but that is the plan. And then on audio, I have out Battleground, which is by Jim Butcher. This is book 17, 18, hold on, 17 of the Dresden Files. And once I read this, I will be caught up. Minus like the side jobs and like the random in-between books. I might read some of those. I don't know if I plan on reading all of them, but I will be caught up with the main series because Battleground just came out. Which is crazy because I feel like I have just consumed so much Dresden this year. And then I also have Obama's book out on Audible, which is called A Promised Land. And this is like a million years long, so we'll see if this gets finished before the end of the year, because I'm going to be like completely honest and say I have not read a single thing besides like little bits of that Doctor Who book and some of Battleground on audio. For this whole like first week of the month, I haven't read anything because I've been in a Star Kid hole. I've gotten back into one of my favorite theater troupes since I was like 14 called Star Kid, Team Star Kid. And if you don't know who they are the people who wrote the Harry Potter musicals, if you're aware of those existing in the fandom culture of the internet. But yeah, gotten back into all of their shows and I'm having a great time, and I don't really see myself coming out of that hole anytime soon, so hopefully all of this reading will get done in like the last 2 weeks of the year when I have a bunch of time off from work. So yeah, that is my end of the year TBR. Let me know if you have anything that you would like to finish before the end of the year. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.